Hello, hello, hello. This is Talking Manchester United, a United Stand podcast with myself, Paul Gardner, and joining me, as always, is Ash Burns. Ash, how are you, my friend?
Yes, very good, thank you, mate. Very good. Another week passed. Some juicy fixtures coming up. Hey, it's an exciting time to be a United fan. How about yourself?
Oh, it is, isn't it? Champions League, FA Cup, League, all tough fixtures coming up. But no, I'm good. Can't complain. Life's good at the moment in the world of United. We're winning games. We're climbing up the table. We're putting pressure on the teams above us. They're looking over their shoulders now, thinking, "Hey, where did they come from?" So life's rosy. So we'll talk about the Leicester game. We'll talk about the Fulham and PSG games coming up. Also, Ashley Young, there's some rumours in the press that he's about to sign a 1-year extension. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well and take some of the thoughts from our listeners who have kindly left us some tweets about the Young contract situation. So we'll read some of those out as well. And also, there was an interesting article, Ash, in the Manchester Evening News day before yesterday, I think it was, about the likelihood of some of the youth team being promoted to the first team before the end of the season. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But let's get straight into the Leicester game first. A 1-0 win away, Rashford goal with a sublime assist from Pogba. What were your initial thoughts on that performance?
Yeah, I thought it was very similar to the Burnley game in the sense that we started quite quickly. We made a few early decent chances. And we looked really sharp, again, as we have done in the past couple of weeks. And yeah, you're thinking, all rosy, it's going to go great. And then Rashford, I'm pretty sure it was Rashford, wasn't it, who missed that chance very early on.
Well, the header.
That's it, yeah, the header that went. Yeah. It looked harder to miss, to be honest. He missed that, and you're thinking, is it one of those Burnley games all over again? But luckily, as you rightly said, Pogba with a fantastic assist, and Rashford, fair play to him, composed in the box, beautiful finish. And then you're thinking, right, time for us to kick on now. Leicester will come at us, they'll press us, and we'll catch them on the break. But didn't really happen, to be honest. Nothing exciting. I thought we looked tired. We looked lethargic in midfield. I think, the intensity that we've played with over the past couple of weeks and the improvements that we've made are starting to catch up with us a little bit. So I think with the congestion of fixtures coming up and the magnitude of the fixtures that we've got coming up, I think it's going to be time for rotation. But back to the game, I thought our midfield was quite poor at times. I thought we were sloppy with the ball. A few players very sloppy with the ball, too slow to move it forward. I thought, again, our fullback, Ashley Young, I didn't think he had his greatest game again. I thought he was...
I think that was probably one of his worst games in the United shirt, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it wasn't great. And it's highlighted, I think that was a game where we grinded out the win, but it highlighted a lot of issues that we've got with this squad and some of the key areas that, 99.9% of United fans know where we need to improve. And I'm glad we did it in a game like this. That we come out with a win rather than we come out with a loss. But again, it's winning ugly. It's something that we didn't do very well in the latter stages of Mourinho's tenure at United. So that's a positive. It's another win on the board. We've overtaken Arsenal up into 5th now. And yeah, this weekend is going to be another big weekend with City playing Chelsea. I think we've got to keep the pressure up. So yeah, it's positive. But yeah, there's definitely some improvements to be made.
And it was good to see Eric Bailly partnering Lindelof as well in the centre of the defence. Nice to see him come back into the team. I think, to be fair, it was probably our strongest lineup that we could have put out. Yeah. With the exception maybe of Martial, who didn't start the game because obviously he was injured in the game before that. So he didn't start the game. Sanchez did. I thought Sanchez was ineffective, really. I think that's fair to say. Yep. He seems to be really struggling in the United shirt, which is such a shame because we know what he's capable of. And I hope there's still time for him yet. I mean, we've still got just under half a season to go. He's going to get chances, obviously, for rotation. So hopefully he can come good. I think Lukaku again was woeful when he came on. Lingard didn't really do too much, but I think you were right though. I think the problem for me in that game came largely from the defence in the midfield and the ability to string 2 or 3 passes together to turn defence into attack. That just wasn't there. And that's been our problem for a long time now, for seasons. Just being able to turn defence into attack, having that quality at the back to play a ball forward. So sometimes when there's a high press, you have to beat that high press with the ball either over the top or quickly through the middle. You know, we don't have the players to do that at the moment. We don't like playing the long ball. I complained about that last week against Burnley because we did it so much and it never came off. And then against Leicester, we just couldn't seem to move the ball around the midfield to turn defence into attack. And I think that's where our problem's been for so long. I thought the first 10 minutes of the game, like you said, we started very well. We started quickly. I don't think Leicester were quite expecting that. And that was when we got the goal. That was important that we got that goal, otherwise it could have been a very different game. The worst thing for me about that game against Leicester was not the fact that we didn't play very well. We're going to have games like that. Fatigue is one of the main causes. We'll come to that in a moment. But one of the things that annoyed me the most, and I think you will agree with me, Ash, is towards the end of the game, and I'm talking right at the end of injury time, we were under a bit of pressure. We did manage to get the ball up their end a few times in injury time. But it just seemed to me like the players, when they lost possession in their half, they didn't seem bothered. No. You've seen the likes of Lukaku, even Martial, Pogba, Herrera. They were just sort of, when Leicester got the ball, regained possession, there was no urgency or desire to get that ball back. There was no closing down. They were just letting them move forward and put us under pressure. And that got my back up a little bit. And I did see a few people on Twitter as well sharing the same views. But did you notice that at all at the end of the game, that the players just seemed to let Leicester have the ball and get on with it?
Yeah, especially our forward players. I thought,
it was our front three with the culprits at the time, because it was when Leicester picked the ball up in their own half, pretty much on the edge of their own box. And you know what I mean? That grated at me a little bit because we were only 1-0 up.
Yeah.
And there were still 4 minutes of injury time to play.
There was a tweet that got quite a lot of traction of Lukaku, like a clip of Lukaku, and I think it was in like the 90th or 91st, 92nd minute, something like that. Anyway, he'd been on the pitch less than 10 minutes, and there's a clip of him with Leicester, basically the Leicester defence passing the ball around him, and him walking around after the ball, and he'd been on the pitch less than 10 minutes. As you rightly said, 1-0 up. Pressure situation. We need to win the ball back. We need to press high, and he's walking about. So I thought, that summed up your point perfectly. I think we didn't press from the front late on. Whether that's fatigue, whether that's complacency, I don't know what it is, but it wasn't acceptable. I think we're going to need to change things up.
Do you think Lukaku? Do you think Lukaku has? I don't want to say given up, but do you think that he's been a bit put out now that he's not the number one choice up front, and and he just his well, I don't want to say doesn't care, but I mean, I guess you could say that that's what it looked like in that game. And do you think there's something in his head where he's just thought, do you know what's the point? I mean, or is that a bit harsh to say that?
Well, you've got to think that. I suppose there's got to be an aspect of that to it, because under Mourinho, he was Mourinho's guy. He was one of the first choices for large portions of the season. He was always one of the first names on the team sheet. He was a Mourinho striker, a big physical unit, a target man. And with this switch of style, I think we're playing a lot more fluid, a lot more direct, running the lines a lot better, and getting in behind. So I think it's not only the change of personnel, but the change of style, I don't think maybe will have upset him a little bit, because we're not playing to his strengths as much. And as a number 9 for Manchester United, you usually play to the strengths of the person who's scoring you goals. So to spend an obscene amount of money on him and then completely change our style and our first 11 week in, week out, it's got to take a certain amount of toll on him. But is that going to bother the rest of the team and of Manchester United as a whole? No, because we're playing better football, we're scoring more goals, and we're winning more games. So we've got to play to the strength of the team, not just of one player. So it's got to have affected him. He's only playing bit part roles. There's not much responsibility, I don't think, being put on him. Having said that, he played a couple of decent games. He was superb in the game against Arsenal. I think he was decent in the first half against Burnley. I think he set up a few chances. But yeah, saying that, it's got to mess with your head a little bit, isn't it? You know, going from, you know, number one on the team sheet to hardly playing at all and not being that important. So yeah, it'll have to be a factor, I think.
And not just that, but the first few games that he came on as a sub, he scored goals.
Yeah.
So in his head, and assists. So in his head, he's probably thinking, you know, I'm putting my name in the hat here. I deserve a start.
Yeah.
But he's not getting it.
Yeah.
So maybe that's playing on his mind a little bit. Now, speaking of winning games and scoring goals, we started off absolutely fantastic under Ollie, the 5-1 win at Cardiff, and then the games preceding that. But gradually, those performances have tailed off. Now, yes, that is going to be largely down to fatigue. The fitness levels of the team aren't anywhere near where it should be. There is a stat out there, it's widely known, that before Solskjaer came in, the amount of ground that the team covered was right down in the bottom 3 or 4 teams. Yeah. Now it's right up there at the top. So that huge change since Solskjaer has come in is obviously going to tire some of the players. So you can expect, you would naturally expect us not to be pressing high and playing with a high tempo for 90 minutes. You just wouldn't expect that. I mean, you look at the way Liverpool played before Klopp came in, or when Klopp came in, they couldn't maintain that kind of football for 90 minutes, and that was where they were faltering. But now, you know, a couple of seasons on, you know, their fitness levels are up, and they're able to maintain that kind of football for much longer now, and you know, it's paying dividends for them. Look where they are in the league now. Yeah. And I think that's very much the same as what it's going to be like for us. As long as we have a manager that keeps playing this way, this fast attacking football, the players will eventually get there. But the point I'm coming to isn't necessarily about the inability to press for 90 minutes, but it's the actual performances, individual performances as well, the quality of the football that we're playing. Now, it was fantastic in the first few games, but I don't know if anybody else shares this concern. I don't know if you share this concern, but I, for one, am getting a little bit concerned. Against Burnley, we were poor. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's not say, oh no, we weren't bad. We were poor. Let's be honest with ourselves, yeah? Against Leicester, apart from that first 10 minutes, we were poor. We couldn't string passes together. There was no fluidity. Okay, it's not as bad as it was under Mourinho. At least at the moment, we are still playing some decent football. We're having 2 or 3 good attacks, but largely it's been quite poor, lackluster, if you will. Yeah. And it's happened now for the last 2 games, Burnley and Leicester, 2 games that you'd expect us to be able to dominate and play some good football. Now, to me, that's a bit of a concern. Has the new manager, in flying quotations, bubble burst? Do you see what I mean? Yeah. We always get it with a new manager. Well, most teams, it always happens with a new manager. They come in, they all start playing really good football for a few games, and then it sort of tails off back to what it was, or back to their abilities at least. Do you share the same concern as I do, in that we could start seeing a slight downward spiral again? Not to do anything to do with Solskjaer, but just the ability of the players that we have. We don't have a lot of top-class players in our team when you compare it to the rest of the top 4. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, we've known that for a long time, that this squad is you know, very thin in a lot of places, and you know, in some areas it's just terrible in quality. I do think it is a little bit concerning of the last 2 games that our performances have dropped. I think the Burnley one more so, but I think that was a shock and a bit of a wake-up call. I think that was a little bit of overconfidence on the squad's part, because we'd won 8 in a row. We were flying, we were beating teams left, right, and centre. We come off, you know, victories against Arsenal and Spurs, and I think Burnley caught us off guard, and they were really up for it, and we weren't. Going to the Leicester game, I mean, I think the style of our play, I think more so down to fatigue, I'm going to be honest. The thing is, you've got to think with Leicester as well. They love playing the big teams. They, you know, just come off a draw against 1-1 against Liverpool. A great result. We know they've got quality. We know they can hurt teams on the counter-attack, and we know they've got a fairly decent defence. That being said, it doesn't excuse, you know, some performances in that midfield. But, you know, I still wouldn't be too worried. I mean, you look at this next fixture now, Fulham. depending on what he does with the squad, I think this is going to be a big indicator. If we come out of this game having put in the same performances that we did against Burnley and Leicester, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. But at the moment, I think Burnley was a fluke, and I think it was complacency and overconfidence. Leicester was going to be a tough game, especially with them coming off a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. But yeah, I mean, we know the midfield is very, very thin. I mean, you know, we've got Nemanja Matic and Ander Herrera as the hub, and they are, you know, first names on the team sheet because they are really our only decent first choice experienced centre midfielders. Obviously Pogba plays a little bit more forward and he's top quality, but I think Matic is suffering massively over the last couple of games. He's aging. We know his stamina is not as it was. I think he's a large part of our I think momentum going through the midfield. Herrera, I love the guy, but again, is the top class quality really there? Not for me. So I think that midfield is where we really need to sort out in the summer. I think we need to bring in 1 or 2 midfielders. We need to sell some players as well, obviously. But yeah, and accumulation of quality and fatigue. But I'm not too worried yet. After Fulham, I think it'll be a better indication.
No, I think that's fair enough. I think you're probably right. I think it is largely down to fatigue. Because I guess if you're fatigued, that's going to affect other aspects of your game, like concentration, for example, which is what looked like was lacking against Leicester. There's just the awareness to be able to pick out a decent pass instead of just knocking it forward and hoping for the best, which we've seen a lot of that. Well, let's move forward then, and let's preview the game coming up this weekend, Saturday. It's an early kickoff, I believe. I think 12 o'clock.
Yeah, 12:30.
Half 12. Yeah, against Fulham.
Yep.
Do you want to take away the preview then?
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. It is away at Fulham, if I'm not mistaken. It is at the Cottage, I think. Is it? Sure. Yeah, we'll go with away. I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was at home, and then I thought we were away at PSG. I could be wrong, but yeah, crack on, and I'll have a look.
Yeah. So looking at their form,
oh no, we are away. You're right, and then we're at home against
PSG.
I had it the wrong way around. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a couple of away games. We've had a lot of away games in recent weeks. I think the pressure is sort of off a little bit on us because they're going to want to attack. It plays into our hands because we love counter-attacking. Having said that, didn't work too well against Leicester, but nevertheless, looking at their fixtures that they've had in the last couple of weeks, a 2-0 loss against Palace, a 4-2 win against Brighton, 2-1 loss against Spurs, 2-1 loss against Burnley, and a 2-1 loss against Oldham. I think that's working backwards.
And then before that, a 4-1 loss at Arsenal.
Yeah, that's it. Was that the one further back again? Was it?
That was just before the Oldham game.
That's it. Yeah. So they're shipping goals. They're scoring goals. Apart from that Palace game, they've got quite an interesting setup. They've got some quality. I think I see them almost similar to Wolves in the quality that they've got. I think Wolves have got a lot more quality and a lot more depth. But in terms of quality in certain areas, I think they're quite similar. And I think they've got enough quality in their squad to hurt a lot of teams, most teams in the league. So it's going to be an interesting game, how they approach it, how we set up. And I think with PSG only 3 days after, I think we're going to see quite a few changes. What that means for us and how we'll approach the game, if we do play Lukaku, for instance, if we're not going to be as counter-attacking minded as we have been, it's going to be interesting. But how do you think we're going to fare?
Well, I think no matter what team we put out, we should come away with the victory.
Yeah.
I mean, I said that against Burnley as well, and look what happened.
Yeah.
And I said that against Leicester that I was confident we'd win. We did, I know, but we could quite easily have lost that game.
Yeah.
But I'm confident that we'll beat Fulham. I think the only danger really coming from Fulham, you may agree with me, you may not. You may have already picked out a few players, but the obvious one is Alexander Mitrovic.
Yeah.
He is their top scorer of 10 goals this year, but when you're playing for Fulham, you're not going to score a lot of goals, are you? So you've got him and Andre Schürrle. We all know about Andre Schürrle and the threat that he poses.
Yeah.
So that's the two main guys we need to watch out for. And then I've picked up on Ryan Sessegnon and Luciano Vietto.
Yeah.
Midfielder left, midfielder right. They both got a few assists. They got almost 10. They got 10 assists between them. So they obviously are players to watch. But those are the only 4 players really that I think would cause us some concern And when you look at our fullbacks, particularly on the right-hand side, we don't know. But we don't know where we stand.
Yeah,
you look at Ben Chilwell with Leicester. He made that side his own. It's like Ashley Young didn't exist.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't think we'll see Young play against him. I do think we'll see Diogo Dalot come in, which I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
But whoever plays on the right hand side for United in the defence is going to be up against Ryan Sessegnon. So that's going to be a challenge for them. So I think their biggest threat will probably come down that left hand side, with them knowing that our weakness is our right hand side. So as long as Ollie Solskjaer has picked up on that in our last game and tries to prevent that from happening, he may still pick Young because of his experience. I don't know, but I'd like to think that somebody else will start at right back, or at least we overload it, or whoever's playing at that right back has some cover at least.
Yeah.
Just to prevent that. But I think that's where the main danger comes from. The left-hand side, Fulham's left-hand side, Mitrovic and Schürrle, because Schürrle can play all across the front three.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that are scoring goals for Fulham. So I think as long as we can keep them quiet, we shouldn't have any problems.
Yeah, I mean, I picked 5 players out, and I've got 4 of the ones that you picked yourself. So yeah, Vieto, Mitrovic, Schürrle, and Ryan Sessegnon. A lot of pace, a lot of directness there, and I think, as you rightly said, with our fullback situation the way it is, if we do play the likes of Ashley Young, I think we could be in for a long afternoon.
This is the thing with Ashley Young. Yeah, he's not great, but he does have good games.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He does have good games. We don't know enough about Diogo Dalot yet to say that he's definitely going to be an improvement on Young, because Diogo Dalot's last game he didn't play very well.
No.
He made a couple of crosses that were overhit, but he's still young.
Yeah.
And if you want him to build some experience, to gain some experience, this is the sort of game that you do it. When you need to rotate, when you've got Champions League football coming up, you need to rotate. You're playing bottom of the league team. This is the game to do it. So I would put Diogo Dalot in. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if Ashley Young was picked, because although he is on a huge downward trajectory in form, he's still a model professional, and he does have good games.
Yeah. But
I would like to see Diogo Dalot play there. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I was saying that I got 4, the same 4 as you had. I just added Jean-Michel Seri into there. Not had the greatest start at Fulham, but we know he's got quality from the French league.
Yeah. Well, we were linked to him, weren't we, in the summer?
He was linked to us. He was linked to Chelsea. I think he was linked to someone else as well. And of all places.
And then when I heard he went to Fulham, I was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here?
And it'll be just typical of him to turn up and have an absolute worldie against us when we play them. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But another player that I did flag as having some quality and could cause us some issues. You've already mentioned a few of your starting players and who you'd like to see. Go on then. Give us your starting 11, who you'd like to see against Fulham.
Well, I'd like to see David De Gea in goal, but I think we probably might see Romero.
Okay.
I would like to see Diogo Dalot at right back.
Yep.
And I would like to see Bailly and Lindelof stay at that centre-back pairing, because centre-back pairings, they can play 70 games a season.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're not doing a lot of sprinting. And with the way we play now, we're going to have a lot of possession, so they're not going to have a lot to do. So I'd like to keep them together, let them form a relationship, let Bailly learn his trade a bit more, and Luke Shaw on the left. I'd like to. We need our back four needs a bit of stability.
Yeah, it does.
So I think with Bailly having an okay game against Leicester, I think he should stay with Lindelof. Let them build a partnership together.
Yeah.
Keep Shaw in. Give Diogo Dalot a game. In the midfield, I would like to see Pereira given another chance.
Yeah. But
play in the Matic role.
Yeah.
Because the last time I seen Pereira play well was when he played that role under Mourinho. And that's the only game since the pre-season that I've seen him play well.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see him play in that deeper role, because he is a good passer of the ball. He can play a long pass. We've seen him do that. So I'd like to see him come in, give Matic a rest, let Pereira have a go in the game. Rest Herrera, bring in Fred. Give Fred some more minutes. He needs a bit of confidence. Keep Pogba in the team because he is absolutely essential. Maybe not play him for the 90 minutes, but get him in, keep starting because we need his creativity. Because without him in that team, where are our goals coming from? How many assists has he got? How many contributions has he made to goals since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been our manager? Almost all of them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So if you take him out of the team, you take a lot of goals away. That's the bottom line. And at the moment in the league, we want to get into that top 4. Even if he plays for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, if he creates a goal in that time, we're laughing. So that's the midfield. Pogba, Pereira and Fred. So that's 2 changes in the midfield, 3 changes in total so far. Up front, I would like to see Martial starting because he didn't start the last game because he was injured. So he has had a bit of a rest. Again, these players don't have to play 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? They can come off after 60, 70 minutes, then they'll get there a bit of a rest. Martial, and then I would like to see, I want to see Rashford play, and I want to see Lingard or Sanchez play on the right. I know that Sanchez ain't going to play on the right. We know that's not going to happen. But I would like to see Rashford and Lingard. But at the same time, I want them to be rotated. I want Sanchez to come in. I want Lukaku to come in. So do you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say Martial, Lukaku and Sanchez as the front 3 for Fulham.
Yeah.
This is the rotation.
Okay.
So that's the players, the team that I would like.
Interesting. I've gone quite similar. David De Gea in goal. As you, I'd like to see Diogo Dalot come in and get some experience. I've gone with Phil Jones at the back. Is he? Who knows? Do we never know if he's injured or not? He's probably injured.
Is that Phil Jones? That's that really hyped one, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd like to see Phil Jones just because I want to keep him as far away from PSG as I possibly can. That's the end of it. And I think Bailly had a very decent game against Leicester. I thought he made some important interceptions, some good blocks. So I'd like to see him start against PSG, hence his exclusion. Lindelof, I think, is really the only other one we've got, the only other fit centre-back we've got. So a partnership of Lindelof and Jones with Shaw.
Well, Chris Smalling's fit again, isn't he?
Is he?
I think so.
Fit,
I think
if he's fit,
yeah.
Chuck the Chuckle Brothers in together and rest Lindelof and Bailly for me. So yeah, those 2. If Smalling's fit, Smalling and Jones. If not, Jones and Lindelof. I've gone with exactly the same midfield as you have. Andy Pereira, Fred, and then Pogba.
Andy Pereira,
man. Yeah, Andreas Pereira. Come on, Andy Pereira, man. Yeah, I'd like to see Pereira get some more game time, just to give him a bit of confidence. Show the manager to show him that he's still got faith in him. So I'd like to see that happen. And then a front 3. I want Lukaku to start because I don't want him to start against PSG. I think we need that fluid, sort of youthful, quick attack. I say youthful. Lingard's 26. We all keep forgetting that.
He still looks like 12.
Yeah, exactly. And acts even younger. So yeah, we'll Lukaku up front. I'd like to see Sanchez start again because, again, I don't really want him to play against PSG. You can see where this is leading, obviously.
Yeah.
So Lukaku, Sanchez, and then maybe Mata on the right-hand side. He might get a little game. Lingard, so either Mata or Lingard. Mata preferably because I'd like to rest Lingard for, guess what, for PSG, for his work rate and his intelligence off the ball. So yeah, not too far away, but I think it's clear to see that we're going to need some changes to rest up for Tuesday night.
I'll tell you what else I'd like to see as well. I'd like to see, and we're going to come on to this in a moment, but I'd also like to see the likes of Gomes, Chong, Greenwood, maybe not all 3 of them, but at least 1 or 2 of them with a place on the bench.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. I mean,
score predictions? Sorry, were you going to say something then?
No. 2-0 to us.
2-0.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, 2-0. I was thinking about it earlier and I thought we're not going to score 3 or 4 goals because there's going to be a lot of rotation.
Yeah.
But I do think we'll keep a clean sheet in this game. And I do think it will be 2-0. I'm going to go 2-0 as well.
I like it. I'll take that all day.
Now, before we go into the PSG preview,
I
just mentioned the likes of Chong and Gomes. I'd like to see them on the bench for this game. Now, I read, I did tell you about this as well before the podcast, so you'll know about this as well. Now, there was an article in the Manchester Evening News a couple of days ago where it spoke about, I think that the headline was United could add 4 more players to their squad before the end of the season. And it was an article in the Manchester Evening News, and it was written by Samuel Luckhurst, which, so, think what you will about this article, but there's some good points in there. And in a nutshell, it talks about the possibility of the likes of Chong, Gomes, Garner, and Greenwood all being promoted to the first team before the end of the season. And it does write in the article that United have sanctioned, not sanctioned, but they've actually let a whole host of players from the youth academy go out on loan. But apparently, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually blocked any loan moves for Chong, Gomes, Garner, and Greenwood, which is very interesting if true. Because also in the article it says that our squad size is currently sitting at 25, which is the minimum for any team competing in the Champions League. So there's space for more players to be added. Now, what are your thoughts on that article? Do you think that it's likely that we're going to see more of these players as we go into the later stages of this season? And obviously in a game like tomorrow Fulham, that could be when we see a couple of them in the squad. And what were your thoughts on that article when you read that?
Yeah, there were some good points. And obviously, yeah, you know, it was correct in the sense that a lot of youth players have gone out on loan, the likes of Ethan Hamilton, who was touted as maybe coming through similar to Scott McTominay. Rashawn Williams is left on a permanent deal as well. And it is interesting because, yeah, as you said, our squad is sitting at 25. Whether that means we're going to see those 4 youngsters come in on a regular basis, I'm not so sure, but certainly I think we need to utilize them in some of the games, especially if we beat PSG, if we beat Chelsea, we get further in the FA Cup and the Champions League. Obviously, trying to keep up to get into the top 4 of the league and stay there, it's going to be taxing on the squad. So we're going to need youth, we're going to need energy, we're going to need excitement, and we're going to need creativity. And those 4 players, they've got that in abundance. So yeah, it will be interesting. I'm hoping at least some of them. Well, Solskjaer has said that before the end of the season, a few of them will get a chance.
One thing I was thinking of is, well, when are they going to come in? I mean, we've got PSG twice. Well, no, once, I think, isn't it, this month? Do we play them again next month? Was it later on this month, the second leg?
Later on this month, I think, yeah. I think
okay, so we've got them twice then. Chelsea, Liverpool.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? At what point in those games do you start putting the youth players in? And I was thinking that earlier on when I read that article, and I got a bit excited at the prospect of these players coming in quite soon. I was thinking, well, when are they going to play?
Yeah.
When would they be risked in these games? But then I thought about it again, and I thought, well, no, we've seen it quite a lot in the Fergie era. Players coming through the youth academy, or even youngsters brought in, and they were given their debuts in big games like this.
Yeah.
So, we could even see a Tahith Chong or an Angel Gomes play against Chelsea or PSG or Liverpool. We could see it in any one of those games.
Be class, wouldn't it? Rashford, Greenwood, Martial, front 4 against Chelsea. We just go for it. Yeah, I mean, I really want to see. The thing is, you've got to look at our system as well. Which players are we going to be able to incorporate into our system and work? I mean, you look at Angel Gomes. Is he going to? Because we don't typically play with a number 10, and he's great at working between the lines and feeding the forwards. He could play in a false 9, as we have done recently with Jesse Lingard playing in that position. But for me, I love Gomes, but I don't see him fitting into the system at the moment. I think someone like Chong, we're crying out for someone on the right-hand side. He needs experience. Yeah. He needs minutes. I think he could be someone to come in. I think with the likes of Rashford, his work rate, and Lingard, their work rates are unbelievable. And I think with the congestion of big games we've got coming up, they're going to be working their socks off and they're going to need a rest. So maybe the likes of Greenwood coming in, I think he could provide a little bit of respite. Obviously, with Lukaku's form, a little bit patchy at the moment. And maybe, as we touched upon before, maybe his mentality has been affected by all the changes. He'd be nice to come in. Obviously, we're short in midfield. I think Jimmy Garner could be a great addition to that midfield, to bring some stability and a bit of creativity. He's a fantastic talent. He can control a midfield. So someone like that, again, not in a massive game or chucking in a massive game, but certainly maybe last half an hour of a game where we want to add some stability to that midfield. So there is room. There's plenty of room. They've got the talent to do it. There's no doubt about that. It's just, is Solskjaer going to have, and the management, are they going to have the bottle to do it, to put him in? Because if it doesn't work, where the flack is going. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple of weeks and couple of months to see them get their chance and how they adapt to it.
I think he'll do it. I think he's got the bottle to do it. When I listen to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in interviews, conferences, he never comes across as nervous or unsure of himself. You can tell he spent a long time at United. And that he spent a long time as a coach and as a manager, because he just looks comfortable and confident and sure of himself, and all those traits are what you need, really. I mean, if he was stumped when trying to answer questions and sort of things like that, or just saying things that were a bit, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might ask questions, but he just seems so sure of himself. So I think he's got it in him to make a tough decision in terms of team selection. So that's not something I'd be worried about, to be honest.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. I mean, we've got quite a packed February. We've got some really tough games coming up. Not all of those players are going to be able to play all of them. And another good point actually in that article was that they said, or Samuel Luckhurst was saying in that article, that Ollie knows his best 11 already.
Yeah,
we all know the best 11. Something that Mourinho couldn't figure out. He could never get a best 11. Solskjaer's found that best 11 very quickly. And what problem he has now is the lack of selection headaches, is how it was put in the article. I mean, you look at the last game, you look at the likes of Sanchez and Lukaku. They're not offering very much at the moment. They're not giving Solskjaer a problem saying, oh, who do I pick? And it's the same across the board. So that was another good point that was made in that article. With this congestion coming up now, that's not something that he would have been happy that he'll be happy with. So another good reason as to why he might be looking at bringing in some of the youngsters, if not to play them, to at least make the players like Sanchez and Lukaku think, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
It's not just Martial and Rashford in our way. We've now got these guys to watch out for. So it might act as a bit of motivation as well. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Okay, so talking about youth, let's go to the opposite end of the scale. I believe he's 34 now, Ashley Young. Rumour has it he's about to sign a 1-year extension. I did put a tweet out on the Talking Manchester United Twitter account saying, rumour has it that Ashley Young has agreed a 1-year extension to his contract that runs out this summer. How do you guys feel about this? And we've had quite a few replies. So let's start from the top. Brett Schommer, it's a smart move. It gives more room for Dalot to grow. If he's the long-term answer, he can't be forced. Okay, too often, I'm sure we said smart play, big summer is needed. John Chambers, don't renew it. Nothing wrong in extending it, but use him as a backup to Dalot. So basically saying, as long as he's a backup, that's fine. Michael Stow, it's fine, I guess. We're clearly not in the market to upgrade his spot, so why not? As a part-time player, he'll be okay. Can cover many positions. Not well, but we know what you mean, Michael.
Yeah.
Wayne Morrell, yes, he always gives his best and plays for the badge, but we need to be getting proper wing backs in, not converted wingers. So in my opinion, it should have been moved on. United, we write, I'd rather see a spot being used for the youth or a new signing to improve our squad, but at least it's not someone like Darmian. Paul Robinson shows the actual ambitions of the board are different to the fans, and Deadwood FC lives on. Robin Kenston, I like the agreed if it's intentional, clever if so. Prince Sunnytex, I feel good about it. He is a nice player for United. Now, what are your thoughts, Ash, on Ashley Young, a player who's just played probably his worst game for United, a player who is on the decline, is not consistent. Like I said earlier, he does put in a good performance from time to time, and he pops up with a goal from time to time. Yeah. What were your thoughts on that contract being extended?
I mean, personally, I don't think we're ruthless enough in terms of moving on Deadwood. Granted, it's early days in the new era, if you will, of Manchester United with Jose Mourinho being moved on. I think there's a few points, there's a few responses there which cover a few of my feelings on this. As a first choice, no, I think it's diabolical that we're playing him. 34-year-old winger, we're playing at fullback at Manchester United. I think it's an area that we've struggled with for many, many years. We've played Valencia there for God knows how long, and he's obviously been so inconsistent and poor. I think we need to go into the market in the summer and buy a very good or even a world-class fullback. I really do. Whether that impedes the development of Dalot, I don't know. He obviously, like Ashley Young, can play on the left or the right. But for me, he needs to be vacated from that first choice spot in the team. We can't if we next season, if we turn around and we spend a decent amount of money in the transfer market and we want to start challenging for titles again, we want to start challenging for the league, for the Champions League, and so on. We can't be playing someone like Ashley Young week in, week out. Do you know what I mean? He's going to have a year. He's going to have extra mileage on his clock next year as well. So for me, if we're keeping him solely as an experienced player in the dressing room, he's going to play, here and there, come on as a sub or play a few games, fine. But to keep him on as a first choice, not for me. And I think it does. I mean, who was it who mentioned the ambition of the board? He hasn't got much resale value and whatnot. But yeah, not for me. I would have moved him on a while ago, but who have you got to cover? That's the trouble with our squad. We've got so much inconsistencies and depth in our squad. It is difficult. But yeah, not for me.
Yeah, no, it was Paul Robinson who said shows the actual ambitions of the board, different to the fans. But I think Michael Stow, who's pretty much hit the nail on the head there. Just a reminder, he said, it's fine, I guess. We're clearly not in the market to upgrade his spot, so why not? And I think you're right there. I mean, we're not going to sign more than 2 or 3 players. And I think that it's no secret that centre-back is going to be one of those positions that we're probably going to be looking at. We need some more quality in the midfield, and also we need another attacker.
Yep.
Because that's where our game is. That's what our game is based on, attack. And we've got Rashford, Martial, but if one of those gets injured, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think, like you said earlier, a right-sided attacker.
Yeah.
So I think that those 3 positions are probably more important at the moment than right back. So I think to extend Ashley Young's contract by another year could be good business, not just as a player, because I would hope that he would be there as a backup and that Diogo Dalot will start to get more games and grow into that role a bit more. That's what I would hope anyway. But when you think of players from the Fergie era, there aren't many left, and Ashley Young is one of them. Yeah. I don't think he might be the only one apart from Valencia. But I think Valencia will be moved on this summer. I really do.
And the Chuckle Brothers, of course.
And the Chuckle Brothers. But what I'm saying though is that from that Fergie era, the guy who Ashley Young in the dressing room is a huge character.
Yeah.
We hear reports, we hear talk and rumors coming out that his character. He's a big character in the dressing room. He's the DJ. I think he was. It was mentioned at one point that he controls all the music that goes on. He's that sort of character in the dressing room, and he does play for the badge, and he is passionate about the club, and all those things. You need to keep that as much as possible. Now, we've been saying over the course of the last few years that there aren't enough of people that play for the badge in the squad. We don't have enough of that at the moment, and I think that he embodies that in his off the pitch. His character, and I think that's something worth keeping hold of, even if it's just for another year, just to keep the dressing room gelled. I think it's a smart move in that respect. But in terms of on the pitch, I do think that it's time for Diogo Dalot to step up. I mean, it's not like he's 17, 18, Diogo Dalot. He's 19, he's going to be 20 soon if he's not 20 already.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a good opportunity for him to step up and make that right back position his own. But yeah, overall, I think Ashley Young signing is a smart one. So I do think Valencia is going to be moved on, and I do think that Darmian also will be moved on. So it'd be a bit silly to move. If you put all three of them, Valencia, Darmian, and Ashley Young, who are you going to pick?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's the best of the bad bunch, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because Darmian's already made it known that he'd quite like to return to Italy because he's homesick or whatever. Valencia, well, at least Ashley Young can beat the first man with a cross.
Yeah,
he might beat the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth man as well.
Yeah.
But at least he can beat the first man. So I think when you think of those three players, Ashley Young is one you're going to want to keep.
Yeah.
And if like Michael Stiles says, and he's probably right, if we're not looking to invest in that area, or it's not a priority at this stage, then to me it's a sensible deal.
Yeah.
But I do also see the whole Deadwood FC thing. But you got to get rid of the Deadwood in order.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't just offload them all in one go.
Yeah.
Have you got anything else to add to that?
I don't think so. No, I think that's about it for that.
Well, let's move swiftly on then to the PSG preview, because we are almost hitting the hour mark. So I want to try and get through the PSG preview. And of course, I think we've got a few tweets come through as well to read out later on. So yeah, if you want to make a start with the PSG preview.
Yes, lovely. So, I mean, we don't need too much of an introduction to this one. Everyone knows the qualities of PSG. Everyone knows
they're good. That'll do.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're pretty good. So looking at their recent form, sort of 5 games back, 9-0 win against Gomes, having lost the first leg 2-1, which is interesting. A 2-0 win at Strasbourg, 4-1 win at Rennes, a 2-1 loss against Lyon, their first in the league this year, and then the 3-0 win against Villefranche very recently. I think yesterday that was. So some decent form. We know they can score a lot of goals. We know the qualities they've got up front. And right throughout the squad, to be honest. I think one positive, obviously a big positive, is that Neymar is out. I don't think he's going to be playing in either leg. Whether that changes, come close to the second leg, I don't know. But at the moment, he is ruled out of both legs, which is interesting. Obviously, it's a positive because we know how creative he can be with his play and his antics. I thought I'll add that in there as well. But are you excited, Paul? Are you confident? Are you nervous?
Oh, I'm nervous, mate. Right, in 38 games they've played this season, they've scored 116 goals and they're averaging 15.7 shots a game. Now, I know this is against teams in the French league, but if you're averaging that and scoring that, you got to have a good team. Yeah, and they've been playing together for a long time. They have this confidence, this identity. They have this. Do you know what I mean? That they're going to bring this to whoever they're playing against.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've only just started to play some decent football. That's now tailing off slightly. Hopefully we can regain that against Fulham, but there's going to be some rotations. That's going to disturb it as well. Yeah. So I'm a little bit nervous about the PSG game. I mean, you just look at their squad. You just look at their front 4 players: Mbappe, Cavani, Neymar, Di Maria. They've got Julian Draxler. Yep. You know what I mean? It's just, I know obviously Neymar's out, but Mbappe and Cavani have scored more goals than him this season anyway. Yeah. So I'm just glad that our defence has improved since Solskjaer joined us. Because if our defence was still leaking goals like it was under Mourinho, I think we probably suffer quite a heavy and embarrassing defeat. I don't think it's going to be like that. I don't think we're going to get absolutely slaughtered, but I do think it's going to be a game where it's going to be spent mostly an hour and a half, both legs, I mean, for this as well. I do think that this is going to be a game where we spend a lot of time off the ball, chasing the ball, and we're going to have to look to try and hit them on the break if possible. So this is another reason why I wanted Lindelof and Bailly to play against Fulham and to build a relationship, because we're going to need them. I need our defence to be strong. coming up over the next month or so. But that's just my initial thoughts on the game. I think we will struggle. Just look at their team. Again, like I said, yes, it's the French league. When you're scoring that many goals and got that confidence, you think you're going to beat anyone. That's the attitude they'll have coming into this game, and I'm sure we'll have the same attitude as well. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will have the players pumped, but again, you can pump players up, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't make them better players.
No.
Yeah, that's what I think.
I think, yeah. I mean, obviously there's a few names in this squad. I wrote down a load of names. So I think obviously your Mbappe's, your Cavani's, Di Maria's. You mentioned Draxler as well. The likes of Thiago Silva even at the back. I think Gianluigi Buffon is part of that squad, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
even though Areola has played mostly lately. But do you know what? I don't know what it is. I'm confident. I'm really confident. The only thing that's worrying me is
I think if we played better against Burnley and Leicester, then I would be confident as well. It's only because those two performances are quite poor that I'm a bit wary. But carry on.
And I think, in a way, those Burnley and Leicester performances could be a reflection on where the team's focus is at the moment. I mean, I think they're really up for this PSG game. New manager coming in, we're playing with a new style of football, and we're going to want to play, a decent game against one of the best teams in the world. The only thing that concerns me really about PSG is their formation, the way they play. They're playing at the moment with like a 3-5-2. So like three sort of centre backs, and then they're playing with like a weird midfield. Like I think Bernat's been playing on the left, Dani Alves on the right, and then like a midfield three of Marquinhos, which is interesting. And I'll come back to that because that's a point I want to highlight. Like Di Maria and Draxler, and then Cavani on the right of a front two, and Mbappe on the left of the front two. And that's the bit that worries me. Mbappe as a left forward. If we play Ashley Young or Antonio Valencia, someone against him, I think Antonio Valencia probably would be better suited to him just because he's a bit of a tank. I think Ashley Young is prone to switching off, especially sort of positioning wise. He did it a lot against Leicester. I highlighted that quite a lot. So I think if we cope with that, and if Ashley Young does play and he has one of his better games, I think we'll be okay. It's that Marquinhos in the middle. He started off his career as a centre back. Yet he's technically gifted, but I think he can be overwhelmed quite easily. And I think if we put someone like Herrera on him, that terrier, and really get to him and stop him sort of, screening that midfield, I really think our front three or front four, however we play with it, have got a real chance of getting at the likes of Thiago Silva and Kimpembe. And I really do. I think if you put Rashford or Martial up against your Thiago Silva or Kera or Dani Alves, whoever it may be, is playing in there, I think we're going to cause some real problems. And I'm confident. I don't know why I'm confident. I think, and I'm really glad that we're playing at home first leg. I hate going away. I hate playing at home second legs because at least if something does happen in this game, we've got an away game to correct it, because that away goal can always kill you in the last minutes of the second leg of a tie. And I think that's always worried me. So I think it's good that we're playing at home. The crowd will be behind them massively. I think we'll be more confident, and we can really make a statement in that first half. And I think second leg, they're going to come on. They're going to come at us, tooth and nail, and really go forward. And I think we could really come into our own in the second leg. With our counter-attacking abilities, that pace up front we've got, and I think that they're a decent match for us. In terms of, their attack is ridiculously good, but their midfield, depending on who they pick, of course, their midfield and defence could be exploited. I mean, I was telling you before we started the podcast, I watched most of the second half against Lyon.
You did, yeah.
And they played with Thiago Silva, they played with Kera, Dani Alves, and in that second half, Lyon had, a lot of chances just because of the overload that PSG put forward and the pace of the attack of Lyon with the likes of Dembele and Traore and Depay. They had, pace going forward. And you look at that front three, you look at us, we've got Martial, we've got Rashford, we've got Lingard, we've got pace, and we've got excitement up front. So I think it could be a decent match for us in that sense, but it all depends on the defence, I think. If our defence copes with their attack well, I think we'll put goals past them, and I think we'll do well. And scenes before we get smacked 5-0. But yeah, that's what I think. So I've mentioned the danger men. Go on then. Who are we going to play? Or who would you like to see play?
Well, I would like to see our full strength team put out against PSG. So that's obviously David De Gea in goal. Right back, I'm going to say Ashley Young. I'm going to say Ashley Young against PSG, just for his experience.
Yeah. And
then I'm going to say Bailly, Lindelof, and Shaw as the back four. Then I'm going to say Pogba, Matic, and Herrera as the midfield. So hopefully, if Matic and Herrera are rested against Fulham, hopefully they'll have a bit of energy against PSG.
Yeah.
And then the front three of Martial, Rashford, and Lingard. That's the team that I'd like to see against PSG.
Absolutely spot on. The same with me. Yeah, that and it's really refreshing to see that, isn't it? Like you mentioned before, that Ollie seems to have settled on his best 11. One, that Mourinho couldn't pick.
And it's the best 11 that the fans agree with.
Yeah, and exactly, and it is, and it works. And I think I forgot to mention this, but I think another massive factor could be in this game is Eric Bailly. I think we know the qualities that Cavani's got, and I think if we put Bailly on Cavani, I think Bailly could absolutely smash hell out of him. I really do, and I think sort of he's one of those players. I think Bailly, he's either going to have an absolute worldie, who's going to be sent off within like 6 minutes or something. It's one of those, but I really think that he is. This game is sort of made for him. Someone's going to clip this when he gets sent off or something. But I really do. I really do think so. The likes of maybe not so much Mbappe, but we know he's strong, he's quick, and I think he is the perfect man to really sort of stop Cavani getting in those chances, because we know we're going to get exploited down the flanks with the likes of Mbappe and Di Maria, the pace that they've got. It's just if we can deal with it in the middle, and even against Leicester, you saw some of the blocks that Bailly put in. And his position was fantastic. So that's going to be a big factor as well. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'll probably be nervous on the night, but at the moment, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it a bit more now after listening to you talk. I must admit.
Have I instilled confidence in you?
You have. I will admit that. I still don't think we'll win.
Okay.
I still don't think we'll win.
Go on then. What's the score?
My score prediction will be, I think this is going to be Ollie's first loss.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we'll get annihilated, but I do think that we'll lose, and I think it's going to be 2-1 to PSG. I got a feeling they'll get an early goal.
Yeah.
I think we'll equalise, but I think they'll score late on as well and snatch the game. And I do think it will be a case of they'll have 70% possession as well.
Anthony Martial, 78th minute, we're winning 1-0.
Yeah.
Put your bets on. Put your bets on. I'm telling you.
I would love that.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Should we take it over to Twitter then and see what's
We can indeed. So yeah, as usual, discussion points there. Let us know if there's anything you'd like to discuss. So Mr. Southwick quite aptly leads us on. Do you think that we'll beat PSG in either leg, and do you think we can advance to the next round? So are we going to, over 2 legs, realistically, are we going to beat them?
I don't think we will.
Okay. I think we will.
You think so? So basically, so to answer your question. Oh, by the way, Andrew. Yeah. You already know. I think that over the 2 legs we will lose both games. I think we'll lose 2-1 at home. I think we'll also lose away. So yeah, I don't think we'll win either of the legs, to be honest.
I think we're winning both legs.
I love your optimism.
I genuinely
really do.
There's something about it. I don't know. Obviously, I'm probably going to get this completely wrong, but I just think with the quality that PSG have played, especially of late, they've played, Guingamp, they played Strasbourg, Rennes, these teams, and they played Vilfraude, whatever their name is. I think. And they've scored, like you said, 116 goals in however many games, stupid amount. And I think playing against a team like us, who are going to press them right from the off, I don't think this is going to be a case of the Burnley and Leicester games. I think we're going to be well up for this, and we are going to press them high with the likes of Rashford and Lingard, chasing down every ball and pushing them from the front. And I don't think I don't think they're going to expect it, and I don't think they're going to be able to deal with it as well as people make out. I think obviously they're going to have their fair share of chances, but I just think this is a good matchup for us. I can't wait to get clipped when we're absolutely being smashed. But I
can't wait for the game now.
I know. I know. But this, I don't know what it. And you know me, I'm normally quite reserved and quietly confident. But I'm openly confident about this. I don't know why. I think we're going to win both legs.
Do you reckon it's because you've just watched their game against Lyon? And yes, you've seen how
they can be exploited.
Yeah, how vulnerable they can be.
I mean,
I reckon that's what's probably built your excitement up a little bit.
I mean, for half a game of football, I mean, it doesn't tell you a lot, but with the way that they played, do you know what it reminds me of? That like second half that I watched, kind of like the Arsenal game against us. That that slick play, they move forward. They really couldn't. I think Lyon were really solid at the back, and they were nice and aggressive and pushed out. And every time that they come out, Lyon looked like they could get a chance. Yeah. And they should have scored. They should have scored twice, sort of towards the end of the game. Lyon. They had two fantastic chances to put the game, 2 1-on-1s really, pretty much. And they missed both. The keeper saved both of them. And then you give both of those chances to the likes of Anthony Martial, and it's a different game. But it will boil down to that defense and how well we cope from the off. But I think if we start quickly, like we have done, we've done well. We've done that well in a couple of games. If we get an early goal, and I think then maybe we can relax, not sit back, but be a little bit more reserved, and then rely on our front 3 or 4 to really pounce on them when it matters. But that's what I think. I don't know why. I'm just really confident. I can't wait for the game. I can't wait for the game.
Me neither.
Good stuff. Right, so moving on. Justin Williams at Handsome Just. Okay, I'll be the judge of that. Do you think it's worth giving Alexis and Romelu another chance to come good, and with a little extra man management, helping Romelu with his touch, maybe if he lost weight, and reminding Alexis not to cut in all the time, would it make a difference?
I definitely would like to see them still getting chances. I think they didn't have any choice, really. We have to give them more chances.
Yeah.
With regards to Lukaku's first touch, I don't think that can be coached. There was a point when he first signed, I think we all wanted to believe it, that it could be coached, but it can't. His first touch is rubbish. He's been playing football for donkey's years now. If he hasn't improved it in that time, he's not going to. Yeah. Alexis Sanchez, again, another player in the peak of his career, probably out past the peak now. He's got his way of playing. He knows how he wants to play. I think it's too late to start telling him, you need to stop doing this, stop doing that. I mean, you can, I suppose. I suppose you could say, look, you play for us now. You've got to adapt to our way and see what happens. But if you hadn't been told that already, I'll be very surprised. I'd like to see him play on the right-hand side, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I know.
What is the deal with not playing him on the right? I just don't understand. Mourinho didn't do it. Solskjaer's not. I don't believe in things like that. I don't believe that players would have little things like that in their contracts. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, essentially, I do think they should be given more chances, and we kind of have to. Really, we don't have the depth to just leave them rotting on the sidelines.
Yeah, of course. They're high-profile players who were, not obviously. I don't want to go to the money thing, but they're experienced. They are talented, but I don't know what it is. But obviously, they're going to get more chances. Whether they come good or not, I really don't know for either of them, to be honest. It depends which direction we go with the club in the summer. Depends on what type of manager we bring in. If we stick with Ole, I don't think either of them have got a future. Someone else might come in. Pochettino might come in and turn Lukaku into the best striker in the world. We don't know. But yeah, as you said, first touch. I like Rodney Cyrus's reply. It'll take more than man management to improve Lukaku's first touch. It's not great. But yeah, will it make a difference? I don't know, to be honest. Alexis looks. Do you know what Alexis reminds me of? Is a bit of Wayne Rooney towards the end of his career.
Yeah,
all energy, and I really think we get a lot more out of Alexis if we played him through the middle. But if we hadn't have started doing what we're doing now with Rashford and playing him through the middle and with his energy and the way he runs the lines, I'd be more inclined to say play him there. But at the moment, with the form that Rashford is in, I'm not so sure. Maybe in a game like on Saturday, for instance, against Fulham, You could play Sanchez through the middle if we're resting Rashford, but we're probably more likely going to see Lukaku there. But I think we're going to see them obviously before the end of the season and whatnot. But what happens in the summer, who knows?
Yeah, who knows indeed.
United be right. What do you think the involvement of the youth will look like until the end of the season, and how and when would you involve players like Greenwood, Gomes, and Chong? Well, we've touched upon that in our discussion about the youth and the article from MEN. And then finally, Michael Stout, how important do you think it is to get Ander Herrera on a new longish contract, 30 this year, but such an engine in that midfield?
I think we should, because he's not the top class creative midfielder that we need to be playing in that role, but he would make a very good squad player, like the likes of Lingard, Mata. They're all great squad players. So I think Ander Herrera, I think we should keep him, because he's another player as well that really has bought into the ethos of the club. He loves the club. We see the passion every time he plays, even when he's not playing. There's that iconic moment, I think it was in the Louis van Gaal ring, when he was in the dugout. I can't remember what game we were playing, who it was against, but we scored, and you see the shot of him banging on the side of the dugout in celebration.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about him. We need those characters around. So I think, and he's not a poor player. He's not the best by any means of the word. But I think we do need to keep him in the squad as a squad player. And I think he'd be happy to do it as well. I think he would always be fighting to try and get in the first team. And I think that's the sort of player, that's the sort of mentality we need. As an example for the players that come into the club, for the youth players that come through, that's the sort of character that we need around the players.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, obviously we touched upon it with Young as well. Ander Herrera, consummate professional, never makes any drama off the pitch, always gives his all, loves the club to bits. And I think under Solskjaer so far, he's probably been definitely top 3 our best players so far. I think in the Burnley game, was it where we rested him?
I can't remember, to be honest.
I think we rested him in the Burnley game, and we were poor. I think he just gives us that perfect balance in the midfield at present. I'm hoping we change it in the summer and we bring in more quality in the midfield. But at present, I think he really gives us a really good balance, because you've got Matic, pretty much all defence, doesn't really like passing the ball, if you've ever watched him. But he screens the back 4, fairly well. He reads the game quite well. And then
to be fair, Nemanja Matic has got, well, I don't know if it was fluke, but in the first few games under Ollie, his passing range was absolutely brilliant through the middle.
Yeah. I don't know what's happened, to be honest. But I mean, when he first came to the club, he was like that, and then he tailed off again.
He did, yeah.
So it's one. I don't know what it is with him, but he seems to want too much time on the ball. And I think someone like Ander Herrera, his movement and his passing is brilliant.
He's good,
It's so clever the way he does it. Plus, there's not many better masses of shithousery, for want of a better word, in that midfield. He is one of those players that if he plays against you, you absolutely hate his guts. But if he plays for you, you absolutely love him. He's that sort of Diego Costa, Sergio Ramos, Sergio Busquets, that sort of, he'd do anything to win. And we need more of that in the team. So yeah, I'd love to see him extended. Obviously, I'm hoping that we do bring in some top class talent next season. But for now, certainly keep playing him. His attitude, his leadership qualities, and his style of play is everything that we need at the moment. So yeah, long live Herrera for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that finishes us off nicely.
Excellent. Well, let's wrap it up then. I think that was a good one. We've gone on for well over an hour.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? If not, do you want to give out your Twitter details?
Yeah, nothing else to add from me. The usual. It's at Ashboyo, ASHBOIO.
And you can follow me as well as at Paul Gardiner MU. Follow our podcast Twitter account. I forgot to do this last week, didn't I, Ash?
All good.
At United Stand Pod. Obviously, follow the main United Stand account as well, at United Stand MUFC. And if you're not already, go and subscribe to VanCam on YouTube. Kev Ashford is still doing that every week. Unfortunately, though, there's no more Fellaini Watch, which is a big shame. But that's just one part of the show. The show's brilliant. Kev's a good laugh. Yeah. And I also want to promote our good friend Andrew Southwick, his YouTube channel at at Red Bearded, not at Red, just called Red Bearded Red.
It is at Red Beard. I think that's his Twitter as well. So you can promote his Twitter as well if you want for it.
There we go. Yeah, so Red Bearded Red on YouTube. Like I said last week, good guy, honest opinions, respects other people's opinions. Just go and check out and subscribe to his channel. I think that's about it. We'll be back again. Not sure what day it will be next week. Obviously, Thursday is currently our recording day, but it's Valentine's Day next Thursday, so I don't think mine and Ash's partners will be very happy with us.
We'll be in trouble, I think.
Sat here recording the podcast. So, we're not sure what day it will be, but we'll keep you guys informed. But so cheers, Ash. Thanks for joining me.
Thanking you as always.
And we'll be back next week.